Hello, everybody. My name is Eric D. Johnson, also on the BrightShine right here in the city of Memphis, County Sheriff, State, Tennessee. Today's date is Sunday afternoon, August the 10th, 2025. Time 2 p.m. First, I thank you, my family, my support for continue caring support, continue to keep myself employed in the Memphis tri-state area, continue to further my education and more on college line. I'm continuing to study and continue to pursue my associate degree in being administrative contract marketing. Now, at the present time, I took a break from going to school. In the future, I am going to go back to school, and I'm going to earn my associate degree, well, other degrees. Now, I'm finna start my Facebook Live. Hello, everybody. My name is Eric D. Johnson, also on the BrightShine right here in the city of Memphis, in the County Sheriff, State, Tennessee. Today's date is Sunday afternoon, August the 10th, 2025, and the time is 2:01 p.m. First, I'm going to say thank you to my family, my support, for your team, current support. I'm continuing to keep myself employed in this Memphis tri-state area. I'm going to continue to further my education in being administrative contract marketing. Because at the present time, I took a break from going to school. In the future, I'm going to go back to school, earn my associate degree, as well as other degrees. Now, I try to make my video as often as I can, at least when I have time, and of course the weekend. I work during the weekdays, so I don't, be able to, to focus and concentrate. But when I do have time, I make my video, and nothing about making my video is like stupid or in vain. First of all, for my benefit, as you know, I just take this opportunity to just say people try to lie, not just behind my back, but try to go behind, in general, any and everybody else's back. And what they try to lie about is what I've been saying all the time. For some apparent reason, this so-called Indo-European tried to go around try to lie to other Indo-Europeans and try to be violent. For example, barbarism, just being violent, just going around being violent. And but whatever came behind the Scythianism and whatever else, Hellenism, just an ongoing pattern of violence. In all in it was the Indo-European being violent, making up lies. And so that pattern of behavior, it went from being just Indo-Europeans being violent with other Indo-Europeans, and then other people went from Europe to Eurasia, Asia included. You understand? Because then that means like the Afro-Asiatic, then you get over here with people on the continent of Africa, like the Egyptians and the Berbers, the Moors, and so on and so forth. The Ethiopians and the Eritreans, Sudan, Nilo-Saharans. See, you start dragging in and everybody into this ignorant behavior, violence. And whatever you made up, whatever lie you made up to behave in that manner, still going on today. And so when I make my video, continue, based on information, education and information, available at the library, trying to resist and persist and not submit. You understand? But I can honestly say that based on education and information, that the criminals, because people are human beings, and people are people. People make choices, make decisions, and not all Indo-European people are trying to be criminals based on no lie. They trying to educate and inform themselves as well. Trying to go to school and trying to seek answers to questions through education and information. We live in a day and time now we have artificial intelligence, which is being used by any and everybody on this earth, on this planet, on this globe, to seek answers to questions. And so, and when you seek answers to questions, it's not to further the criminals' endeavors, but for us as human beings, as well as all life. And when you say life, it's for the preservation of the universe. See, this earth is not the only planet in this galaxy, this universe. Is for any and everybody that's created, any and everything. So we take advantage of education as well as information. And we try to make the right choices and decisions. Now, all that lying about some so-called made-up religion, that's been a big problem for us as humans. We having more problems with this whole thing about who, what, where, when, where created any and everything, about how many it is or how many it isn't, who, what, where, when, why, you know what I'm saying? So seeking answers to these questions is still being done. As we know, we as human beings, we evolved from other creatures, apes, to what we are today as being human, homo. Our closest relatives, Pan, the chimpanzee and the bonobo, we have a common ancestor with the chimpanzee and the bonobo. And further than that, we have a common ancestor with the gorilla and the orangutan and the gibbon. And then when you go a little further, being primates, we got this old world monkey. And then from the old world monkey came the new world monkey. And then being mammals, there's another thing about evolution. Being mammals. Primates are mammals. Primates are mammals. So in that evolutionary cycle, primates are mammals. And then from mammals, you got all these amphibians, reptiles, and so on and so forth. We're going to get into that. So all these lies about who, what, where, when, why, and being violent. It's a serious thing. And so we're going to continue to use time. We're going to continue to use our time wisely. We got to use time management, because time management is important. When I started going to school, when I enrolled in college for the first time, one of the things that was pointed out, push that button, what's that? Oh, got a snooze button on top. I'm trying not to, all right. But one of the things that the school, when you enroll, they emphasize is time management. Manage your time. Time. Manage your time. You in school, you got to work. You got to manage time. It's only 24 hours in a day. You got to manage time. You got to manage your time. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And, I had to work, so I had to manage my time. I know daggone well if I tried to make a video, and in my choice and decision, based on my judgment, you know what I'm saying? If you think it's something important, you manage your time. You go to work 8 or more hours in one day. It ain't no way in the world your attention span not gonna be there. Your attention span not gonna be there. You're not gonna be able to focus. See, that's manage your time. You got to manage your time. Information, education is important. You got to manage your time. You got to do homework. You got to study. You're not focused. You focus on, you're going to fall asleep. And then you're thinking about the next day. You got to go back to work. You're going to mess around and fall asleep at work. See, this is how you manage your time. You got to manage time. It's important. So, just like now, I took the time to make it clear that irregardless of what somebody else might say, but what Eric say, is that what I'm doing is important. It's important. Because I knew, because of a lie, a person and persons thought they can get away. You thought you can get away. by lying. See, I knew education was important and information was available. Use your time wisely. Use your time wisely and manage your time. Person who thought they can get away, and when you say get away, it's a variety of answers, but in general, they thought that they could take a lie and make themselves be something that they not to me, which is important. It ain't important to me. You don't matter to you. You don't matter. I've been wanting to kill your ass for the longest. The local police, that's what's stopping me from getting you. That what stopped me from getting you. However, time. I always knew time. This is one of those times in my life when you're going to have to be patient. You can't just run out there. You can't go out there. You can't run out and just, and then you ain't really getting who need to be got. This is a time when you need to be patient. That way, the one that thought they could hide can be exposed. And when you expose the one who thought they can hide, when it's time to get somebody, you can get who you need to get. And the one that you want to get, you can get. And now, it's coming. It's coming. See, when education and information, just be patient. Because the person and persons who thought being exposed, and when you can't hide, even the local police can't. See, just be patient. Because it's going to come a day when it's going to be justice. And you're going to be punished for the wrong that you've done and that you be doing. Don't get you. You thought. Oh yeah, you thought. I knew a long time ago. See, I take this time just to show you. It's just like mom and dad. They were raised during a period of time. My mom and dad were born, my dad was born like 1937, 38, 39, late 30s, 1930s. They were 1930, 36, 37, somewhere like that. Mama, she was born like 7 years later, like 1942. Somewhere like that, 1942. But see, the dirty sheets and the wheeling sheep up there in Chicago. See, they had already been started. They was already formed before they was even born. So you talking about grandmama and granddad on my mama and dad's side who were born in Mississippi. On mama and dad's side, grandmama and granddad. On my mama and dad's side from Mississippi. See, the dirty sheets and the wheeling sheep. See, it's important. See, when you try to lie, that's what that is. Because we as African American, black, were brought over here to America by force. By who? The Indo-European. Who did what? Lied to other Indo-Europeans. It was a lie. Even before the Catholic Church. Before the Catholic Church, it was a lie. See, you trying to talk about some fake polytheism, false polytheism, because that's what you hear. A fake polytheist. Call yourself, what you call it? Syncretizing or eclectic. Okay. Okay, what you think you smart. Okay. All right. Whatever. All right. Yeah, the one having anal sex and want to broadcast anal sex. He's smart. Okay. Yeah, that one. The one that want to broadcast anal sex. Doing all it for anal sex. Yeah, okay. Yeah. You smart. Yeah, okay. All right. Whatever you say. Now, see, by the time my mom and daddy were born, the dirty sheets and the wailing sheep was already, been formed and was pretty active. Not just in Chicago, but people in general. People in general. The dirty sheets and the wailing sheep. And so when you talk about how the Chicago Defender newspaper telling people to come up to Chicago, this after World War II. Because see, the dirty sheets and wailing sheep have been around World War I. The early 1900s. The dirty sheets and wailing sheep, they've been around that long. That long. The early 1900s. Before World War I. Before World War I. And then after World War I, World War II. Then after World War II, see, right in that, at that point, they found this, the Nagmar Library. But before the Nagmar Library, they had found them other codexes. The Askew Codex, the Berlin Codex, and the Bruce Codex. Some leftover Gnostic papers that didn't get destroyed. Then the Nagmar Library got found in 1946. Right, 1945, might have been 1945. 1945, because then the Dead Sea Scrolls was found like a year later. Yeah, matter of fact, 1945. It was right before World War II ended. They found the Nagmar Library, some leftover Gnostic papers that didn't get destroyed. Then about a year later, in 1946, the Dead Sea Scrolls had been found. Some leftover Jewish writing, religious work, mostly the Old Testament, as well as some, some sectarian documents or whatever. But the majority of, a lot of that Dead Sea Scroll was the Old Testament. And when they started carbon dating, when they trying to, see how old it is, they found out that the Dead Sea Scroll is very, very old. Very old. So when they come to the Holy Bible, a lot of it was Old Testament. Old, very old. Old Testament. Dead Sea Scroll. Because when it comes to that Gnostic foolishness, they ain't no but a bunch of ignorant lies. The Indo-European. That's what white supremacy. They claim, they say they still trying to find the origins of Gnostic. The Indo-European. Get straight to the point. The Indo-European, that's the origin of Gnostic. The Jews already, the church fathers had already told you The church fathers already told you. Already told you that it was some Jews. What Jews? See, in that period, in that location, in that part of the world, Egypt had already been conquered by who? The Indo-Europeans. The Greeks first, then who else? The Romans, the Indo-Europeans. So when you say the Jews, what Jews? The Hellenized Jews. The Indo-Europeans. That's who the Hellenized Jews is. The Indo-Europeans who were living in Egypt. They not Afro-Asiatic. They were Indo-Europeans. Because the Romans were pagans, as well as the Greeks. But the Greeks were conquered by who? The Romans. Indo-European conquered another Indo-European and occupied Egypt in that part of the world, as well as other parts of the world. Occupied various places on this earth for a long period of time, for like what, 200 some years? But when it comes to that Gnostic, it was the Indo-European, white supremacy. The Catholic Church been telling you for the longest. Even the Jews told you. The most respected Jewish rabbi, Rabbi Akiva, had already told you. Already told you. Did not want Judaism to be influenced by no Gnostic. As well as what? The Grecian humanism. Did not want to be any kind of influence on Judaism. Rabbi Akiva already told you. Then the Catholic Church told you. Saint Athanasius, as well as Saint Irenaeus, the Bishop of Lyons, 5-volume book in the first, right at the end of the first century. 5-volume book, Adversus Erasees, refuting Gnosticism, proving that Gnosticism was a heresy. Proved it. And to this very day, you still haven't brought no evidence. You just go around being violent and having anal sex. Then in the third, it was around the 3rd century or something, Saint Athanasius, the Bishop of Alexandria, in his 39th Festal letter, Easter letter, banned all non-Christian writing. They went around and collected all that Gnostic theologian writing. And they virtually destroyed all that Gnostic theologian writing. That's what we had to deal with. These Gnostic documents that didn't get destroyed. The Askew Codex, the Berlin Codex, the Bruce Codex, and the Nehemiah Library. Didn't get destroyed. Some individual, some Indo-European took the information to use and misuse to mistreat other human beings. Because one thing the Indo-European don't never do is don't never not mistreat other Indo-Europeans, because they got to make you do what? Submit. They got to oppress you just like they oppress everybody else. They got to oppress the Indo-European as well as any and everybody else. They can't oppress any and everybody else without oppressing the Indo-European. Basically what he said, you got to listen by force or choice. If you choose not to listen, you choose not to abide by, then goddamn, gonna kill you. And that's what they been doing. Been killing each other. Been killing each other. That's what they've been doing. And still doing today. Now you got this North Atlantic Treaty Organization. They try to keep them under control. But they still trying to do the same damn thing. Oppress each other. Based on lies. Based on lies. But see, the dirty sheets and the willing sheep, then my mom and dad were born. See, that's what called. So you tried to lie behind my mom back, my daddy back, trying to go around this Gnostic nonsense. So this is what I've been doing. Making sure, no, wrong, you wrong. See, they thought they could hide. He thought they could hide. He or she thought they can hide behind my back. Behind my back. Like you did behind my mama back, my daddy back. I'm walking around making, it's going to be a day, it's going to be justice. And you're going to be punished. You're going to be held accountable and responsible for the wrong that you done and be doing. You thought you got away, but you didn't. The local police, including in Chicago, yeah, the local police, the one that, the GED, the high school diploma, the one that passed the background check, the one that passed the drug screen, yeah, the local police, the sheriff, highway patrol, that's all that's required. A GED or a high school diploma, clean background check, and pass a drug screen. You know you smoked some marijuana. You had to wait, you cleaned your system out after 30 days. You cleaned your system out. You smoked some marijuana. After about 30 days, it don't show up on the drug screen and all that other hard stuff. Now that hard stuff, it's gonna show up. You can't get that out your system. But marijuana, after about 30 days, drink you some water, it'll clean your system out. It won't show up on the drug screen. It won't show up. No. But you try to lie. And see, when I make my video, it's not in vain. It make a difference. See, a lot of people in Chicago, some of the older women and men, they ain't had a chance to go to school, like I've been saying, talking about being a gangster and a mobster. The people over in Germany speak German every day, any and every day they speak German, as well as the Latins, talking about mob. Most people didn't, a lot of black / African Americans didn't have no education. So what you trying to talking about some Gnostic. And then the black / African Americans who did have some education, some kind of education. You got all these historically black colleges and universities. But during that period of time, you got before World War II, all that Jim Crow and all that Ku Klux Klan. Then you come up to the Civil Rights Movement. Majority of black / African Americans didn't even have education. And then when it came to acquiring education, it wasn't no quality education with the public school system. And talking about private school, black / African Americans didn't have no money like that to be talking about sending your child or children to no private school. All that lying about some Gnostic is white supremacy. Wrong. Wrong. So when it comes to Chicago, conservative vice lords, see, did what I've been making sure that you don't get away with trying to use no lie to recruit. To recruit. I ain't gonna stand for that. No, I ain't gonna stand for that. Ain't talking about any other kind of what they call this stuff, a branch. Far as I'm concerned, it should have never been. Because I know what you're lying about. So conservative vice lord. And then when they said the history, well, the first branch, then period. But see, the dirty sheets and the well sheep never was wrong. That's what the point I've been making. First of all, you ain't finna lie on the dirty sheets and well sheep. Because Jim Crow, you ain't finna sit up here and make nobody think that you're gonna sit up here and try to talk about the dirty sheets and the well and sheep. Man, gone on somewhere. Hell, if it weren't for the dirty sheets and the well and sheep, you wouldn't have had no place to live. You ain't had no food on the table, clothing back, roof over your head. They tried to help each other. If anything that the dirty sheets and well and sheep did, they tried to help other black / African American to leave all that Jim Crow down south. Then when you came to Chicago, they tried to help you get on your feet, get a place to stay, get a job, to survive in Illinois. And then made it where you can think about going to another, like Wisconsin or Iowa or Indiana, things of that nature. It was the dirty sheets and the well and sheep. And then the Imperial Chaplain, 14th Street Clover, it was the dirty sheets and well and sheep. And out of that, you're talking about some Egyptian culture. Well, see, trying to use that Nagamon library, trying to use that Nagamon library, wrong, wrong, wrong. Evan Pepperlo Perry, not wrong. The old heads, not wrong. Alfonso not wrong. And trying to recruit by trying to make it, no, you ain't gonna get away with it. No. That's the reason why I do the things I do. No. I ain't no wannabe gangster disciple. I ain't no wannabe black gangster newbie. No. 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 See, I don't never want conservative vice lord. Never. Never. Never let them bitches get away. Don't never let them bitches get away. Never. See, what I want you to open your eyes and see is when I make my video, I'm watching. Just like I've been telling you all the time, I was watching you the whole time. See, that's the point I've been making all the time. When I was walking around, some things I ain't even think about or hear. And when I heard about it, I ain't like it. That's what I didn't like. That's what I didn't like. I ain't like the way I heard about. But see, I ain't like the way I heard about Vice Lord. I ain't like the way I heard about all that gangster disciple and black disciple and the black Princeton. See, when I growed up, this house, I lived in this house. Growed up in this house. This is my mom and dad's house. This ain't my house, you know. They work and pay for this house. This their house. I live in their house, you know. It's paid for, so, you know. I don't like the way I found it. You know, that's what I showed conservative bylaw. See, when I'm living down here, that's what I wasn't hearing. That's what I didn't hear. See, it ain't like I ain't never been to Chicago. I had been to Chicago. My cousin was living in Chicago. My dad's brother, little brother, Walter, was living in Chicago. I used to go up there and visit, and they used to come down here and visit. So like I said, I don't like the way I found out or heard about the vice law. See. And see, I ain't got nothing. See, that's what I don't want no conservative vice law to see, to misunderstand. See, with the way I found out about it, you make it sound like I got something against the conservative. That's what I don't like. See, that's the reason why I've tried to educate and inform myself. I go find out my damn self. Like the old saying, if you want to know, goddamn, I'm going to go find out my, and when I find out about it, it make me mad. Because I see you've been lying the whole goddamn time, and I don't like it. And goddamn it, I don't take it. I don't take it. I don't take it. No. No. So like I said, conservative bylaw, it's not that Edwin Pepperlo Perry wrong. No. That's not wrong. Because it's going to still be the same thing, them goddamn white people, the so-called Indo-European, trying to oppress us as people. We human beings. We all human. Mistreating each other. We all human. And all you doing is just being violent with each other. Mistreating each other. No, Edwin Pepperlo Perry ain't did nothing wrong. Hell, if anything, he did the same thing that the dirty sheep and the willing sheep did. Tried to help your ass. By trying to bust some of these damn bitches' heads. Because your ass didn't have no education. You ain't want to listen. That's your damn problem. You too busy worrying about some Gnostic. So Edwin Pepperlo Perry bust your damn head. He right. Because your ass will be around having anal sex. And doing any and every other thing that you ain't got no business doing. Like I've been telling you all the time. Trying to have anal sex with other men. Trying to be a negative influence. Talking about the material world evil. Yeah, man, come on, let's go have sex. Oh, man, don't worry about what other people say. The material world evil. No, goddamn, yeah, it's wrong. Wrong. It's wrong. And the same damn thing. They black gangster Newbury. Man, come on, man. You ain't finna sit up and try to tell me that this bony black nigga, man, go on somewhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? You gonna sit up here and try to recruit, talking about Evan Pepper, and then here you is with this bony black. Is you out your damn mind? That's what I'm telling the conservative vice lord. That's what I've been saying all the time. I'm sitting down here, and the way I found out about vice lord, I'm sitting there like, what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to join the black gangster new breed? Man, come on. No, man, I ain't going. No, man. No. No, absolutely not. No. And then, man, you know what I'm saying? Here it is, 2025, and it's sitting up here talking about a vlog, and you're going to try to expose Larry Hoover and this Boone Black talking about they was over there with the 63rd Street Cobras. It took you all this time just to say that? All this time. All this time. See, that's what I'm saying. See, I don't like the way I found, you know what I'm saying? Because all the time I was growing up, it wasn't no saying nothing like, you know what I'm saying, no vice lord around here. And then you make it sound like somebody got something. No, I ain't got nothing against conservative vice lord. I got something against motherfuckers, against these individual lines. That's why I got something I got something against these people trying to lie and then go try to have anal sex and going around trying to go behind my back. No, I ain't trying to help you do nothing. I'm trying to kill. I'm trying to kill. I'm telling you, I'm trying to kill. I'm trying to kill every damn gangster type and every black gangster newbie I can find. And just like I told, hey, that Egyptian cobra, hey, all that is the same damn thing. Try to use the Nagamon library. It ain't right. You ain't right. You ain't right. It's not right. It ain't nothing right about no trying to use no Nagamon library or trying to lie. No, talking about some Gnostic. It's white supremacy. White supremacy. That's what that Gnostic is. White supremacy. Rome. Now, conservative Bible, you see what I'm talking about? When I leave my video, for some parent reading, they trying to talk about some peace. However, Evan Pepperlo Perry and the old heads, Alfonso, they already told you. They already told you. But you ain't want to listen. That's what the problem is. You ain't want to listen. You ain't want to listen to Evan Pepperlo Perry. You ain't want to listen to the old heads. You ain't want to listen to Alfonso. But now, we pushing peace. Evan Pepperlo Perry already told you. The old heads already told you. Alfonso had already told you. You shot Alfonso, but you want to push peace. You shot Alfonso. But you want to push peace. You ain't want to listen. When the vice lord was trying not to have any war with anybody. In the newspaper. Wasn't hearing nothing about the vice lord doing anything like that. Now they want to push peace. But see, when I leave my video, when Eric leave his video, I'm watching. I'm watching. Yeah, I'm watching. I ain't impressed. You ain't impressed me. Elvin Pepper Perry impressed me. The old heads, that's who impressed me. Alfonso, that's who impressed me. And all this stuff with this vlog mess. Okay. But I'm going to be honest with you. When I see when you can't get away with lying, when you can't hide, and when you expose them dumb ass bitches over on the East Coast, and them stupid ass hoes over on the East Coast, see, trying to come up to Chicago is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. It ain't nobody that you thought, because they might be trying to set your ass up. Because they know conservative vice lords in Chicago, they know when I leave my video, I'm calling to tell you to kill them bitches. To kill them. Because they ain't right about a damn thing. Kill them. They ain't right about nothing. Kill their ass. See, that's what them bitches over there on the East Coast try to find somebody they can use. But when I leave my video, conservative violor no. You've been lying the whole time. Just like out there in Los Angeles, California. Some bitches from the East Coast gonna go way out there to Los Angeles, California, talking about the blood gang, Crip gang. Come to tell me, wrong. Tried to do the same thing. Tried to use the Nagamon library. And the damn white people, they already knew about the Askew Codex, the Berlin Codex, and the Bruce Codex. Then they found the Nagamon library. You see how the white people trying to make it sound like they trying to, not to mention the Dead Sea Scrolls, but see, the Dead Sea Scrolls is the same thing, telling your ass, you're wrong. Wrong. Because that was St. Athanasius, the Bishop of Alexandria, that was all the Catholic Church been telling you. That the Old Testament is true. But your stupid ass talking about you reject church tradition. Talking about you reject church tradition. Well, like I told you, I'm still waiting on you to tell which one of the church fathers you talking about. Which one of the church fathers you talking about? You ain't said nothing since. I'm still waiting. Because you ain't gonna never say nothing like that. Talking about you reject church tradition. The Old Testament, you ain't gonna never get away. Never. You ain't gonna never be right. Never. And going around talking about some Jehovah, you ain't gonna never be right. Never. Oh, I forgot. Hey, trying to be right. Hey, what they say? Just believe. Ha! just believe. Yeah. Okay. And what was the other one? Talking about universal priesthood of believers. You think I'm going to leave you with the Bible? That's the reason why Black/African American is living over here in the new world now. Because you read the Bible. Because I know damn well the Catholic Church, no, they ain't what the Bible say. In the first and Native Americans, no, they ain't what the Bible say. No. That's not what the Bible says. See, this all that white supremacy. That's all white supremacy. It's the same thing that Gnostic, white supremacy. This so-called blood gang, crip gang. That's all it is. A bunch of blind, deaf, and dumb field house niggas. Doing the same thing you've been doing ever since they brought your ass over here. Is be a slave to the Indo-European. Serve them. That's all you're doing. Being a slave to the Indo-European. So when I make my video, and you talking about you pushing peace, huh? Evan Pepperlo Perry already told you. The old heads, they already told you. Alfonso already told you. Already told you. But they want to make a blog. See, I know what you was thinking. See, I show conservative eye. I know exactly what you were thinking. I've been sitting there watching your stupid ass the whole time. See them dumb ass bitches over there on the East Coast. See, you think you getting away. You're not getting away. It's the police. That's the only reason I'm not out here clowning and acting a damn fool. It's because the police. Because I would get your ass. I've been wanting to get you. I've been wanting to get you. I'm going to have to be really patient. I'm really mad about this damn. I don't like it at all. I'm really mad. And when I'm looking at you, since you want to make a vlog, and when I'm looking at your damn ass, I don't like it. I don't like it. No, I don't like it at all. No, I don't like it at all. And see, them bitches over there on the East Coast. See, I know what you was thinking. See, you were doing shit for them. That's what you was doing. That's what you was doing. I make my video. And ain't nothing that none of you bitches saying is right. So your field house nigga ass can walk around, but you didn't get away. It ain't like you got away. It's just the police. That's the only thing it is. It's just the police. Because I'm be honest with you, if it weren't for the police, I wouldn't be sitting here making no vlog. I wouldn't be sitting here making no video. Because I'd be on the street getting your ass. I'd be out on the street getting your ass. But I got to be a little patient. Still want to get you. And still will get you. I'm going to have to crawl. I'm going to have to do the crawl. I don't want no damn body no police department think you smart and think I'm dumb. No. Because that's the same thing. They're Gnostic. Somebody got a damn job with law enforcement and talking about some damn Gnostic. Want to get your damn ass too. Want to get your ignorant ass too. Like I said, you ain't gotta be your grade point average don't have to be that damn high to be a police officer, to be a sheriff deputy, or work for the highway patrol. Your grade point average don't have to be that high. You can have a GED, that GED test that you cheated on, but you got a background, your background clean. And you passed the drug test. I know you've been smoking marijuana. You know you smoked some marijuana. 30 days. drink a little water, it'll clean out. It won't show up on the drug screen. But see, conservative vice lord, they ain't, they ain't wrong. They ain't wrong. No. That's the reason why I do the things I do. No, they ain't wrong. There wasn't no reason for no Egyptian cobra. What reason is it for an Egyptian cobra? Why? It wasn't no reason. That's what conservative vice lord was there for. Got rid of all that damn social club walking around, the Vikings, the Vikings, and all them social clubs. Them the criminals. Them the ones who were doing something wrong. And then the imperial chapter, they became imperial vice lord, the first branch of the vice lord. And Walter Wheaton and Willie Lord, they conservative vice lords. So they don't. You talking about some Egyptian cobra? I mean, that's the nag of my library. And now they sitting around talking about this Larry Hoover and this Booney Black was over there with the 63rd Street Cobras or something, The nag of my library, Gnostic, white supremacy. White supremacy. That's all it is. Blind, deaf, and dumb field house nigga. Serving Indo-Europeans. That's all you doing. And that's what the Indo-European been doing. That's what they be doing. Oppressing you. Because you ain't doing nothing right. You ain't serving God. That's what the Catholic Church is for. It's for you to serve God in spirit and truth. If you're not Jewish, you might well be a Catholic. Because being a Protestant, you're a blind, deaf, and dumb field house nigga. That's what you're doing. You only serving the Indo-European, but they're Protestant. That's all you doing. No matter what you try to say, all you doing is lying. The Catholic Church is right. And thinking that you some kind of smart person, talking about you syncretizing, or what's the other one? Eclectic. You're not smart. You're a sinner. Being sinful. So when I make my video, and when I see in Chicago some kind of blog, yeah. I know it's not in vain, because I'm seeing it. Yeah, okay, since you want me to see you, well, I don't have no reason to see you. Conservative vice lord walking around on the west side of Chicago. And then, I seen, on the south side of Chicago as well. Conservative vice lord. But see, I make sure that anything about the past and this Gnostic nonsense, I make sure that all the conservative vice lord don't never have to lose no sleep at night about no Gnostic. You ain't got to worry about it. It's white supremacy. It's white supremacy. It ain't no such thing. It ain't nothing that you need to listen to or hear. It's white supremacy. That's what the Protestant is. White supremacy. Any one of these black / African Americans go to school and get a PhD, just like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife, Coretta Scott King, went to college and got a degree. When it comes to that Protestant, it's white supremacy. It ain't no such thing as you syncretizing or eclectic. No. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Son of God, didn't syncretize and wasn't eclecticized. Whatever this so-called Martin Luther, he was lying. He was a white supremacist. He was a white supremacist. That's what he was doing it for. For the Germans. For his race. That's what he was doing. Him and them other Germans. Then you throwed all them other ones, the Latins, white. That's what white means. It wasn't just German, it was white. So that was the Protestant white supremacy. Wrong. See, a lot of information about evolution had not been even done. So all this stuff about Jehovah, here it is, 2025. A lot of information they didn't have then. Just like a lot of math. For example, when it comes to math, a lot of the math wasn't even known about at that period of time. What's his name? Immanuel Kant. One of the philosophers. Philosophy. A lot of the math wasn't even around during his period of time that we use today. So when it comes to education, the so-called Indo-European, when they're talking about evolution, a lot of information about the earth, the climate, a lot of information they didn't have access to because it had not been established. Education wasn't even established as it is today. So a lot of things that people said in the past has been debunked, has been proven to be an error, incorrect. For example, talking about race. It's been debunked. It's been disproven. It's an error. It's incorrect. See, we living in a different day and time. Living different day and time. It's 2025. And what people thought they could get away with lying each and every day. The fields of science are disproving a lot of the lies. That's the very reason why you don't hear people talking about communism and socialism no more. Because in the economic schools, And the math that people using today, that's what they use artificial intelligence for. The questions that people have, they getting answers to these questions. You don't hear nobody talk about communism no more, or Marxism, socialism. You don't hear nobody talking about that no more. People trying to get rich. People trying to buy land, trying to get as much money as they can. Ain't nobody trying to give money to the government and for the government to have ownership of means of production. Not in this day and time. Nowhere on this earth do you see any and everybody doing the same thing, trying to get and grab as much money as they possibly can. But when I make my video, it's not in vain. It's not in vain. I'm seeing it. Since you want me to see. But I'm just gonna make this clear. The police is the only reason why. I'm telling you, that's the only reason. I wouldn't even be sitting here if it weren't for the police. Because I'd be out on the street. I'd be out on the street right now. Killing. Right now. Well, I gotta get on this prehistoric religion. But still, that's the same thing. See, when conservative bylaw be in the city of Chicago, you sitting up here talking about these Indo-Europeans, talking about some fake polytheists, false polytheism. We sitting here talking about shamanism and animism, talking about cognition. We talking about the archaic humans before Homo sapiens sapiens, before. We talking about ancestor worship. Then we get into the upper Paleolithic. Before we get to the Neolithic, we get to the upper Paleolithic. Because in the lower Paleolithic, religion, no. Because of cognition. Because of cognition, no. Human, no. No religion. Before, no. In the lower Paleolithic, no religion. Because of why? Why? Because of cognition. Because the archaic human didn't have cognition. Not on that level. Wasn't cognitively able. Now, when you say cognition, there was some cognition, but when it comes to religion, because we know archaic human made stone tools, so on that, to be a hunter and a gatherer, using his brain for that, to survive, yeah. I mean, you got to have some ability, capability with your brain. But that's about as far as his brain went. Then came Homo sapiens sapiens, the anatomically modern human. So when you talking about lower and middle, no religion. Might have a few things, habits, might have a few things that he did on a regular, like a routine. But when you say ritual, he might have had a certain, like I do the usual thing. But when it comes to ritual, then you get to the upper Paleolithic. But that's when anatomic and modern human came on the scene. They started talking about shaman, animism possibly. Might have been old as a shaman. And then you get into this sedentary lifestyle where instead of being hunter-gatherers, human beings began to be settled in one place and began to agriculture. And then you start things like deities. Then you start praying and giving thanks for the agriculture. And that includes, the domestic animals. So whatever you're talking about, this Indo-European, they're talking about syncretizing and eclectic. Polytheists. They're talking about some pagan. So you can have anal sex and then broadcast anal sex. I like it. Gnostic. It's a lie. White supremacy. Syncretized. See, that was the pagan, so-called pagan Indo-European, when they were talking about human sacrifice. Sacrifice of humans. Other Indo-Europeans being sacrificed to the gods and all that. It's a lie. Just lying. Just like some guns up there in Chicago talking about some pushing P. You know I'm a lying. See, when you don't tell the truth, how you gonna push peace when you don't even admit that you was trying to use a Nagamite library? How you gonna try to push peace? Who the people listening to? What is it that you walking around talking about? It ain't that they listen to you, they listen to me. Because you ain't saying nothing. Even conservative vice lord know that. People ain't listening to what you say, they listening to what Eric say. That's what that is. When you can't get away with talking about Gnostic, now you want to get mad at somebody. See, conservative Ilo know it too. They sitting in Chicago right now. They know it too. Some gonna sit there listening to me talking about I want to get somebody because they thought they could lie. Now you doing the same damn thing. Walking around like you want to get mad at somebody because you feel like somebody lied to you. Now you want to push peace. Now you want to push peace. Now, time. We had to refer, I referred to Wikipedia, the quick reference. Time is the continuous progression of existence that occurs in an apparently irreversible succession from the past through the present and into the future. Now, when it comes to giving a definition of time, the concept of time can be complex. Multiple notions exist in defining time in a manner applicable to all fields without circularity has consistently eluded scholars. And so when it comes to time, it regards, diverse fields such as business and industry, sports, the sciences, and performing arts all incorporate some notion of time into their respective measuring system. Now, we have the traditional definitions of time involve the observation of periodic motion, such as the apparent motion of the sun across the sky, the phases of the moon, and the passage of a free swinging pendulum. Now, in modern systems include the global positioning system, let me click on that. Now, when it comes to the global positioning system, it is a satellite-based hyperbolic navigation system owned by the United States Space Force and operated by Mission Delta 31. It is one of the global navigation satellite systems that provide geolocation and time information to a GPS receiver anywhere on or near the Earth where signal quality permits. All right. And so it provides, it's a navigation system, but it also deals with time. All right, let me click back over. And then we also have what? Other satellite system. The Coordinated Universal Time. Coordinated Universal Time is the primary time standard globally used to regulate clocks and time. It establishes a reference for the current time, forming the basis for civil time and time zone. UTC facilities international communication, navigation, scientific research, and commerce. And so, just like we were just talking about how certain things, people use certain things at a certain period of time. Then later on, you don't even want to use that no more. That's the same thing with this Coordinated Universal Time. Universal UTC has been widely embraced by most countries and is an effective successor to Greenwich Mean Time in everyday usage and common applications. As more knowledge becomes acquired, a lot of things that people did in the way they did things in the past, it becomes basically obsolete. We don't even do it that way no more. We don't even think that way no more. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to time, it's almost like we don't even want to look at the sun, the moon, and the stars no more because of satellites. Satellites basically changing all this. And then they also got now when it comes in specialized domains such as scientific research, navigation, and timekeeping, other standards such as UT1, Universal Time, is a time standard based on Earth's rotation, while originally it was mean solar time at 0° longitude. Precise measurements of the sun are difficult. Therefore, UT1 is computed from a measure of the Earth's angle with respect to the International Celestial Reference Frame. Let me click back over. And then after UT1, then you have the International Atomic Time. International Atomic Time is a high precision atomic coordinate time standard based on the notional passage of proper time on Earth's geo. TAI is a weighted average of the time kept by over 450 atomic clocks in over 80 national laboratories worldwide, and also used alongside UTC. And then see the UTC is based on TAI. Which TAI is the Time Atomic International. So let me click back over. And then you got the mean solar time. That's what we now when it comes to mean solar time, is the hour angle of the mean position of the sun plus 12 hours. This 12-hour offset comes from the decision to make each day start at midnight for civil purposes. Whereas the hour angle or the mean sun is measured from the local meridian. And then as of 2009, this is realized with the UT1 time scale constructed mathematically from very long baseline interferometry observations of the diurnal motions of radio sources located in other galaxies and other observations. And this means solar time, so we talking about solar time, so let me scroll all the way up. And remember, solar time is a calculation of the passage of time based on the position of the sun in the sky. And then the fundamental unit of solar time is the day based on the synodic rotation period. And so traditionally, there are three types of time reckoning based on astronomical observations. Apparent solar time and mean solar time, discussed in this article, and sidereal time, which is based on the apparent motions of stars other than the sun. So it's important that we understand when we're talking about prehistoric religion, in that discussion, we're talking about time. All right. All right. So, like I said, time. We're talking about time. So we're going to prehistoric religion, and make sure prehistoric. Now, when we say prehistoric religion, this is what the PhD wants you to see, is the religious practice of prehistoric culture. Prehistory, the period before written records, makes up the bulk of human experience. Make sure you don't be confused at the very beginning of that statement. Prehistory, the period before written records, makes up the bulk of human experience. We're talking million of years. Over 99% of human experience occurred during the Paleolithic period alone. And when you say Paleolithic, is a period in human prehistory that is distinguished by the original development of stone tools, and which represents almost the entire period of human prehistoric technology. And make sure we know who we're talking about. And which represents almost the entire period of human prehistoric technology. It extends from the earliest known use of stone tools by who? Stone tools by who? Pay attention. By hominins. Pay attention to these words. Because when you say hominins, you're talking about hominini. Homininins. Forming what? A taxonomic tribe. Of the subfamily Homininae. And Homininae is a subfamily of the family Hominidae. Hominids. This subfamily includes two tribes, Hominini and Gorillini, both having extant species as well as extinct species. So we're talking about homininae. They comprise two extinct genera. When you say the hominini, you got two genera. Homo, humans, and who else? And pan, chimpanzees, and bonobos. So that's who they talking about. Let me click back over. Who be making tools? Also called the Old Stone Age, Paleolithic, is a period in human prehistory. Paleolithic now, the Paleolithic. This is distinguished by is a period in human prehistory that is distinguished by the original development of stone tools, and which represents almost the entire period of human prehistoric technology. It extends from the earliest known use of stone tools. Pay attention to what they said. It extends from the earliest known use of stone tools. So it ain't just humans who use stone tools. Who else used stone tools? Hominids use stone tools. $3.3 million years ago to the end of the Pleistocene. But we had to click over to hominids because hominid is a taxonomic tribe of the subfamily Hominidae. And they comprise two extinct genera, Homo, humans, and Pan. So what they saying is this: the orangutan, he don't use those stone tools. The gorilla, he got hands and sometimes he'll stand up. But he don't use no stone tool because he eat the vegetation. Gorilla don't eat no nuts, and he not a chimpanzee. See, this is the reason why the chimpanzee and the bonobo, when they use their hands, they'll make some stone, they'll use something. If they see a nut, they'll do what? They'll find a stone tool and they'll try to bust that nut open. Gorillas don't eat no nuts. Orangutans don't eat no nuts either. And I guess the gibbons don't either. But the chimpanzee, if it's some kind of fruit or something that he can eat, if it's a nut or some kind of fruit, and he can't eat it, that's the reason why he made it. He'll try to pick up a rock and bust it open and eat it. Because see, when you say the hominid, in standard use, exclude the genus gorilla. And then when we go back over into this taxonomic classification of the subfamily, that's the reason why hominidae there was a split. When you see the hominidae, it was a split. When you see homininae and punginae, Pongo is the orangutan. Then when you see homininae, it was a split. Hominini and gorilla leaning. From homininae. So that's the subfamily. And then when you say the family, that's when you had a hominidae. But then there's another one across from hominidae, that's the Holobatidae. That's the gibbons. And then at the top, hominidia, at the superfamily. Because see, you got the superfamily, then you got the family. The family is the hominidae. That's what they're talking about. You split from the hominidae, and from the hominidae came the homininae. But on that hominidae, you had that punginae. Was it punginae? Punginae. That's the orangutan, Pongo. And then on the other side of the hominidae, you had a hominine, across from Pungine. The orangutan, then across from hominine, you have the split, the gorillalini and the hominine. The gorillalini, he's not one of those that make stone tools or use stone tools. It's the hominine, Pan and Homo, who use stone tools. Hominine use stone tools. So who is hominine? Pan and Homo use stone tools. That's what they was telling you. So in the Paleolithic, and let me click back over and show you, make sure we see one thing. During the time period, there was no chimpanzee or no bonobo or no humans at a certain time. Because of evolution, you have to make sure you understand evolution. There was a certain time, period of time when it wasn't even no gorilla. It wasn't even no orangutan. It had to be evolution for all these creatures to come into existence. It ain't always been no gibbons. And being a primate at the superfamily, at the top of the superfamily, it ain't always been no hominidea. With hominodea. Hominodea ain't always been. But it's a primate. And it's evolution. That's the one who was before all that. Before it was a human, it was a, how you pronounce that? Hominodea. The superfamily. The superfamily. They was on the scene. Then there was evolution. Came all the way down till you get to hominine, Homo, and Pan. And so when it comes to the stone tool during the Paleolithic, you had this split millions of years ago. First it was hominine. And from the hominine, you had this split. You had Pan, the chimpanzee and bonobo. Then you had another split, Homo. It didn't all happen at the same time. It was during the Paleolithic. So during the Paleolithic, we talking a million years ago. We're going to click over to the geological, the earth science, because it's very important that we understand the climate on this earth. There were a lot of extinctions. See, when we talking about the primates and the mammals, and you got to understand something about, it was a lot of extinctions. And this earth is not, has not always been like it is now. And we in the what? I think we in the Cenozoic. I read some. I think right now we in the Cenozoic, and then another one we in the Quaternary or something. I have to refer back. I'll refer back. But we ain't always been in where we are today. And it ain't always been no Homo. As you can see in the earth, it has not always been no Homo. It ain't always been no hominine on this planet. And so when we look over here to this hominine timeline, then that's when we get to the Miocene and the Pliocene and the Pleistocene. See, it was all these during a certain period of time, and it's showing you that when it comes to the earlier apes, because we all apes, including us as humans, Homo, we apes. We all classify as being apes. We primates. When you talk about all the monkeys, old world monkey and new world monkey, we all primates. We all mammals. And then you can click, you can put your cursor on there, and apparently they found skeletal remains of some of these earlier. They put that cuss on the end, like for example, we talking like million years, like 10 million years ago. You had a Necali Pithecus. That's one example. 10 million, the earlier apes. And they refer to him as a Necali ape, is an extinct species of great ape from the Necali ape Kenya. They found him about 9.8 million years ago during the late Miocene. Apparently they found a jawbone. And then you had another one. Samburupithecus is an extinct primate that lived in Kenya during the middle to late Miocene. The one species in this genus is known only from a maxilla fragment and dated about 9.5 million years ago. Then there's another one, Macedoniensis and Ornithopithecus is a prehistoric species, or Ornithopithecus, from the late Miocene. See, all of them, they in the Miocene. These are earlier apes from the Miocene, during the Miocene. And remember, the Miocene is the first geological epoch of the Neogene period, and extends from about 23.3 to 5.333 million years ago. Then I'm just gonna click on that temporarily. We want to look at. It's gonna tell you a little about the atmosphere, the climate. And see, as the Earth went from the Oligocene through the Miocene and into the Pliocene, the climate slowly cooled toward a series of ice ages. The Miocene boundaries are not marked by distinct global events, but by reasonably defined transition from the warmer Oligocene to the cooler Pliocene epoch. And then it's saying during the early Miocene, Afro-Arabia collided with Eurasia. We talking about continents. And you know, Eurasia, Arabia is on the Asian, on the continent of Asia. So, and then it's severing the connection between the Mediterranean and Indian Oceans, and enabling the interchange of fauna. Pay attention, fauna. Those are animals, fauna. The word fauna, look it up. Between the continents. See, the continents. You had fauna. When you had the continents colliding with together, the fauna was able to move. They was able. So these earlier apes, and that's exactly what it's telling you, and enabling the interchange of fauna between the continents, including the dispersal of proboscideans, mammals, elephants and their extinct relatives, mostly elephants, and who else? Hominoids. All right, superfamily of old world simians, native to sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. Apes are more closely related to old world monkeys than to the new world monkeys, with both old world monkeys and apes placed in the clade Catarrhini. So you had the hominid, the apes, moving. They was able to move into Eurasia during the late Miocene. The connection between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean closed, causing the Mediterranean Sea to almost completely evaporate. This event is referred to as the Messinian salinity crisis. Then at the Miocene-Pliocene boundary, the Strait of Gibraltar opened and the Mediterranean refilled. That event is referred to as the Zanclean flood. See, these are things that are the climate, and then you're dealing with geology, the planet, the continents moving. Oh, here we go. They talking about something right here. Also during the early Miocene, especially the Aquitanian and Bertigallian state, the apes, pay attention, first evolved, began diversifying, and became widespread throughout the old world. Around the end of this epoch, the ancestors of humans had split away from the ancestors of the chimpanzee and had begun following their own evolutionary path during the final Messinian stage. That's about 7.5, 5.3 million of the Miocene. As in the Oligocene before it, grasslands continued to expand and forests to dwindle. In the seas of the Miocene, kelp forests made their first appearance and soon became one of Earth's most productive ecosystems. So we know during the Miocene, we know that this is very important to us as humans. The apes first evolved. In the early Miocene, the apes first evolved, began diversifying, and became widespread throughout the old world. That's because what happened? Because the continents and all that came together, and then the climate. And then around the end of this epoch, the ancestors of humans had split away from the ancestors of the chimpanzee and had begun following their own evolutionary path during the final Messinian stage. And when they talking about this Messinian, it's talking about this this Messinian salinity crisis. So I'm going to click back over. But we know that the Miocene is very important for us as humans. We know that when the apes began the evolutionary process. So when we see this Miocene over here on this hominin timeline, we see at the Miocene, that's what they're talking about. We see the gorilla split. Then we see the chimpanzee split. And the reason why they find skeletal remains in certain places, because remember, there was a time when the continent of Africa had collided with Arabia and made it, and then don't forget the Mediterranean had completely dried up, so it wasn't no water there, so it made it passable for the fauna. The elephants could move. The elephants went from Africa, ended up in Asia during the Miocene because of this Basinian salinity crisis. It's a lot about that Basinian we ain't going to, but it's very, very important. So we talking about this Paleolithic. And so all right, so let me see here. All right. And so, like I said, the Paleolithic, we know who we talking about. We talking about Homo, by hominins, and that includes the chimp and the bonobo. That's the reason why. The chimp and the bonobo, because that's what he is. He is a hominin. He homonine. He not gorilla leaning, and he not pongo. See, during this period of time, by that time, Paleolithic, they came into existence, but that's not who we talking about when we talking about the Paleolithic. And then let me see here. And during that period of time, as it says, the Paleolithic overlaps with the Pleistocene epoch, a geologic time. It's geologic time. And both ended around about 12,000 years ago, although the Pleistocene started 2.6 million years ago. But during this epoch, experienced important geographic and climatic changes that affected human societies. And then we let's make this clear. When the archaic humans, or when hominini came to existence, they were made during that period. He came into existence during that period of time, so he was made for that period of time. His immune system and all that, because there were so many climatic changes that affected human society. And so, and from the preceding Pliocene, when you talk about the Pleistocene, you had the Pliocene before that. Because during the Pliocene, you had continents that had continued to drift. So this stuff is causing a lot of changes on the earth. The faunal, floral, it's a lot of changes. Geographic and climatic changes. And see, when Africa collided with Asia, created the Mediterranean, and it cut off the remnants of the Tethys Sea. And see, that was another change. Climates during the Pliocene became cooler and drier and seasonal. During the Pliocene. So that means that it wasn't always, the climate in the Miocene wasn't like that. But during the Pliocene, the climate became cooler, it went drier, and it became seasonal. And it's saying that during the Pleistocene, climate was characterized by repeated glacial cycles, during which continental glaciers pushed to the 40th parallel in some places. And so it's saying the effects of glaciation were global. Antarctica was ice-bound throughout the Pleistocene and the preceding Pliocene. The Andes were covered in the south by the Patagonian ice cap. There were glaciers in New Zealand and Tasmania. You see what I'm talking about? They talking about it, even in New Zealand and Tasmania, it was glaciers. The decaying glaciers of Mount Kenya, Mount Kilimanjaro, and the Rwenzori Range in eastern Central Africa were larger glaciers existing in the mountains of Ethiopia and to the west in the Atlas Mountains. The Cordilleran ice sheet covered the North American Northwest. Excuse me. The Laurentide covered the east. Then you had the Fennoscandian ice sheet covered northern Europe, including Great Britain, and Alpine ice sheet covered the Alps. Scattered domes stretched across Siberia and the Arctic shelf. The northern seas were frozen. And then the Paleolithic is often held to finish at the end of the Ice Age, the end of the Pleistocene epoch. And Earth's climate became warmer. This may have caused or contributed to the extinction of the Pleistocene megafauna. And then also, although it's also possible that the late Pleistocene extinction were at least in part caused by other factors such as disease and overhunting by humans. And that the global warming that occurred during the end of the Pleistocene and the beginning of the Holocene may have made it easier for humans to reach mammoth habitats that were previously frozen and inaccessible. And so And so, we're still over here on the Paleolithic people and some of the information. Like Homo erectus. At the beginning of the Paleolithic, hominins were found primarily in eastern Africa. East of the Great Rift Valley, most known hominin fossils dating earlier than 1 million years before present are found in this area, particularly in Kenya, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. It said groups of hominins began leaving Africa, settling in southern Europe and Asia. The South Caucasus were occupied, and northern China was reached. By the end of the lower Paleolithic, members of the hominin family were living in what is now China, western Indonesia, and in Europe, around the Mediterranean, and as far north as England, France, southern Germany, and Bulgaria. But further, northward expansion may have been limited by the lack of control of fire. Studies of cave settlements in Europe indicate no regular use of fire prior to 400,000 to 300,000 BP. It's saying that East Asian fossils from this period are typically placed in the genus Homo erectus. And Homo erectus is an extinct species of archaic human from the Pleistocene, spanning nearly 2 million years. Very little fossil evidence is available at known lower Paleolithic sites in Europe, but it is believed that hominins who inhabited these sites were likewise Homo erectus. There is no evidence of hominins in America, Australia, or almost anywhere in Oceania during this time period. It said that fates of these early colonists and their relationships to modern humans are still subject to debate. According to current archaeological and genetic models, there were at least 2 notable expansion events subsequent to peopling of Eurasia. 200,000 or 1.500,000 BP, around 500,000 BP, a group of early humans frequently called Homo heidelbergensis, and they are Homo heidelbergensis is a species of archaic human from the Middle Pleistocene of Europe and Africa, as well as potentially Asia, depending on the taxonomic convention used. And they came to Europe from Africa and eventually evolved into Homo neanderthalensis, Neanderthals. And make sure you see they put the word evolve. They weren't Neanderthal, but they evolved into what they call the Neanderthals. In the Middle Paleolithic, Neanderthals were present in the region now occupied by Poland. It's in both Homo erectus and Homo neanderthalensis became extinct by the start of the Upper Paleolithic, descended from Homo sapiens, the anatomically modern Homo sapiens sapiens, emerged in Eastern Africa. Around about 300,000 BP, left Africa around 50,000 BP, and expanded throughout the planet. Multiple hominid groups coexisted for some time in certain locations. Homo neanderthalensis was still found in parts of Eurasia, 40,000 BP years, and engaged in an unknown degree of interbreeding with Homo sapiens sapiens. DNA studies also suggest an unknown degree of interbreeding between Homo sapiens sapiens and Homo sapiens denisova. Hominin fossils not belong either to Homo neanderthalensis or the Homo sapiens species. Homo sapiens species found in the Altai Mountains. In Indonesia were radiocarbon dated to 30,000, 40,000 BP, and 17,000 BP, respectively. For the duration of the Paleolithic, human population remained low, especially outside of the equatorial region. The entire population of Europe between 16,000 and 11,000 BP likely averaged some 30,000 individuals, and between 40,000 and 16,000 BP it was even lower, at 4,000 to 6,000 individuals. However, remains of thousands of butchered animals and tools made by Paleolithic humans were found in Lapado Pagarino, a cave in Portugal, dating back between 41,000 and 38,000 years ago. Okay, let me see. Now, let me see here. Now let me click over here to the let me see here, where is it? All right. Now, when it comes to natural science or empirical science, is a branch of science concerned with the description, the understanding, and prediction of natural phenomena based on empirical evidence. And what that is, empirical evidence, is obtained through sense experience or experimental procedure. And so, evidence from observation and experimentation. Mechanisms such as peer review and reproducibility of findings are used to try to ensure the validity of scientific advances. Now, natural science can be divided into two main branches: life science Now, the list of life science comprises the branches of science that involve the scientific study of life, such as microorganisms, plants, and animals, including human beings. And then you have physical science. And physical science is a branch of natural science that studies non-living systems, in contrast to life science. And then when it comes to life science, is alternatively known as biology. And then when you come to physical science is subdivided into physics, astronomy, earth science, and chemistry. So, all right, let me see here. All right, let me see it. me see here. Now, we're talking about geology, one of the earth sciences. And one of the in the Hadean is the first and oldest of the 4 geological eons. And so, the geological time scale divided into chronostratigraphic units and their corresponding geochronologic units. An eon is the largest geochronologic time unit and is equivalent to a chronostratigraphic enneatheme. There are 4 formally defined eons. The Hadean is the first and oldest of the 4 geological eons of Earth's history, starting with the planet's formation about 4.6 GA and ended 4.031 GA. The age of the oldest known intact rock formations on Earth as recognized by the International Commission on Stratigraphy. Then after the Hadean, you had the Archean. In older sources, sometimes called the Archeozoic, is the second of the 4 geologic eons of Earth's history, preceded by the Hadean eon and followed by the Proterozoic and the Phanerozoic. Then you had the Proterozoic and the So we're talking about this geological time scale. So it's the geologic time scale or geological time scale. It's a representation of time based on the rock record of Earth. It's a system of chronological dating that uses chronostratigraphy, the process of relating strata to time. In geochronology, a scientific branch of geology that aim to determine the age of rocks. It's used primarily by earth scientists, including geologists, paleontologists, geophysicists, geochemists, and paleoclimatology, to describe the timing and relationships of events in geologic history. The time scale has been developed through the study of rock layers and the observation of their relationships in identifying features such as lithologies, paleomagnetic properties, and fossils. All right, so we clicked over here onto the Hadean. Again, the Hadean is the first and oldest of the 4 geologic eons of Earth's history, starting with the planet's formation about 4.6 GA. So when they talk about this GA or BYA, meaning billion years ago, so when they say alternative notation, when you see BYA, that's billion years ago. When you see GA, this gigantum, and GYA, that's giga years ago. And then when you're talking about a million years, that's an MA. But that GA, that we talking billion of years ago. So when you're talking about the planet's formation, about 4.6 GA, and saying set by the age of the oldest solid material in the solar system, protoplanetary disk, dust particles. And so what that is, a protoplanetary disk is a rotating circumstellar disk of dense gas and dust surrounding a young, newly formed star, a T-Tauri star or Herbig ABA star. All right, and so those were dust particles found as chondrules and calcium and aluminum rich inclusions in some meteorites, about 4.567 GA billion years, and ended 4.031 GA, the age of the oldest known intact rock formations on Earth, is recognized by the International Commission on Stratigraphy. The interplanetary collision that created the moon occurred early in this eon. Now, what they talking about, this interplanetary collision, there's a giant impact hypothesis. Is a hypothesis, sometimes called a Theia impact, is an astrogeology hypothesis for the formation of the moon, first proposed in 1946 by Canadian geologist Reginald David. All right. They created the moon occurred early in this eon. The Hadean eon was succeeded by the Archean eon, with the late heavy bombardment hypothesized to have occurred at the Hadean-Archean boundary. So what they talking about, this LHB, this late heavy bombardment or lunar cataclysm, is a hypothesized astronomical event thought to have occurred approximately 4.1 to 3.8 billion years at a time corresponding to the Neo-Chadian and Eo-Chadian eras on Earth, according to the hypothesis. All right. Okay, according to the hypothesis, during this interval, a disproportionately large number of asteroids and comets collided into the terrestrial planets and their natural satellites in the inner solar system, including Mercury, Venus, Earth, and the Moon and Mars. These came from both post-accretion and planetary instability driven populations of impactors. Although it gained widespread credence, definitive evidence remains elusive. right. Let me see. Now, there was an alleged event, the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event. Now, formerly known as the Cretaceous Tertiary extinction event, was the mass extinction of 3/4 of the plant and animal species on Earth, approximately 66 million years ago. The event caused the extinction of all non-avian dinosaurs. Most other tetrapods weighing more than 25 kilograms, 55 pounds, also became extinct, with the exception of some ectothermic species such as sea turtles and crocodilians. It marked the end of the Cretaceous period, and with it the Mesozoic era, while heralding the beginning of the current geological era, the Cenozoic era. In a geologic record, the KPG event is marked by a thin layer of sediment called the KPG boundary or KT boundary, which can be found throughout the world in marine and terrestrial rocks. The boundary clay shows unusually high levels of the metal iridium, which is more common in asteroids than in the Earth's crust, as originally proposed in 1980 by a team of scientists led by Luis Alvarez and his son Walter. It is now generally thought that the KPG extinction was caused by the impact of a massive asteroid 10 to 15 kilometers, 69 miles wide, 66 million years ago, causing the Chicxulub impact crater, which devastated the global environment mainly through a lingering impact winter, which halted photosynthesis in plants and plankton. The impact hypothesis, also known as the Alvarez hypothesis, was bolstered by the discovery of the 180 kilometer, 112 mile Chicxulub crater in the Gulf of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula in the early 1990s, which provided conclusive evidence that the KPG boundary clay represented debris from an asteroid impact. Now, we over here on life, the life timeline. We're talking billion years ago. The origin of life. The age of the earth is about 4.54 billion years, and that life on earth has existed for at least 3.5 billion years, with the oldest physical traces of life dating back 3.7 billion years, estimated from molecular clocks, and summarized in the Time Tree Public Database placed the origin of life around 4.0 billion years ago. Now, hypotheses on the origin of life attempt to explain the formation of a universal common ancestor from simple organic molecules via pre-cellular life to protocells and metabolism. In 2016, a set of 355 genes from the last universal common ancestor was tentatively identified. Oh, okay. All right, so the last universal common ancestor. Want to click on that. The last universal common ancestor is the hypothesized common ancestral cell from which the three domains of life, bacteria, archaea, and eukarya, originated. The cell had a lipid bilayer. And the lipid bilayer is a thin polar membrane made of two layers of lipid molecules. These membranes form a continuous barrier around all cells. The cell membranes of almost all organisms and many viruses are made of a lipid bilayer. It possessed the genetic code in ribosomes, which translated from DNA or RNA to proteins. Although the timing of the last universal common ancestor cannot be definitively constrained, most studies suggest that the last universal common ancestor existed by 3.5 billion years ago, and possibly as early as 4.3 billion years ago or earlier. The nature of this point or stage of divergence remains a topic of research. And then all earlier forms of life preceding this divergence and all extant organisms are generally thought to share common ancestry on the basis of a formal statistical test. This theory of a universal common ancestry is supported in preference to competing multiple ancestry hypotheses. The first universal common ancestor is a hypothetical non-cellular ancestor to last universal common ancestor and other non-extinct sister lineages. Whether the genesis of viruses falls before or after the last universal common ancestor, as well as the diversity of extant viruses and their hosts, remains a subject of investigation. While no fossil evidence of the last universal common ancestor exists, the detailed biochemical similarity of all current life divided into the three domains makes its existence widely accepted by biochemists. Its characteristics can be inferred from shared features of modern genome. These genes describe a complex life form with many co-adaptive features, including transcription and translation mechanisms to convert information from DNA to mRNA to proteins. Okay, so we got that. All right, click back over. Now, the biosphere is postulated to have developed from the origin of life onwards. At least some 3.5 billion years ago, the earliest evidence for life on Earth includes biogenetic graphite, found in 3.7 billion year old metasedimentary rocks from western Greenland, a microbial mat fossil found in 3.48 billion year old sandstone from western Australia. More recently, in 2015, remains of biotic life were found in 4.1 billion year old rocks in western Australia. In 2017, putative fossilized microorganisms or microfossils were announced to have been discovered in hydrothermal vent precipitates in the Newfoundland belt of Quebec, Canada. They were as old as 4.28 billion years. The oldest record of life on Earth, suggesting an almost instantaneous emergence of life after ocean formation 4.4 billion years ago, and not long after the formation of the Earth 4.54 billion years ago. All right, let me see here. Excuse me. Now, before we end today's video, I clicked over there to see, do it say anything about the age of the universe? And so, when it comes to the age of the universe, it's in Big Bang models of physical cosmology. Now, that's a branch of science. Make sure we don't miss that. In physical cosmology, Physical cosmology is a branch of cosmology concerned with the study of cosmological models. All right. So the age of the universe is the cosmological time. And cosmic time or cosmological time is the time coordinate used in the Big Bang models of physical cosmology. All right. So the age of the universe is the cosmological time back to the point when the scale factor, and so the scale factor, that means in affine geometry, uniform scaling is a linear transformation that enlarges, increases, or shrinks, diminishes objects by a scale factor that is the same in all directions. Isotropically, the result of uniform scaling is similar to the original. All right. Okay, look. All right. Okay, back to the point when the scale factor of the universe extrapolates to zero. Modern models calculate the age now as 13.79 billion years. Astronomers have two different approaches to determining the age of the universe. And let's make sure we what is the universe? All right, the universe. The definition. Okay, the universe. The universe is all of space and time and their contents. It comprises all of existence, any fundamental interaction, physical process, and physical constant, and therefore all forms of matter and energy and the structures they form, from subatomic particles to intergalactic. All right. All right. So one is based on a particle physics model of the early universe called lambda CDM, and that is a mathematical model of the big. It is a mathematical model of the Big Bang theory with three major components. Okay. Let me click on that right now. All right. All right, three major components. One, a cosmological constant denoted by lambda associated with dark energy. Number two, the postulated cold dark matter denoted by CDM. And number three, ordinary matter. Okay. Click back over. All right. So, based on the particle physics model of the early universe called lambda CDM, matched to the measurements of the distant and thus old features, like the cosmic microwave background. The other is based on the distance and relative velocity of a series or ladder of different kinds of stars, making it depend on local measurements late in the history of the universe. These two methods give slightly different values for the Hubble constant, which is then used in the formula to calculate the age. The range of the estimate is also within the range of the estimate for the oldest observed star in the universe. All right. Okay. We talking billion years of now. There's a nature timeline. It goes all the way back to the dark ages, earliest stars, billion years ago. Reionization, earliest galaxies, earliest quasar, reionization, then so on and so forth. Matter dominated era. Okay. And then you got water on Earth. Then you got life. Multicellular life, vertebrates, and so on and so forth. Nature timeline. Okay. Now, time won't permit us to get into that. It's about time for me to end today's video. But we touched on some things on these sciences. We got, and again, we got natural science or empirical science, divided into two main branches: life science and physical science. Now, life science is alternatively known as biology. And biology, as you know, is the study of life. Okay. Then you got physical science. Physical science is subdivided into physics, astronomy, earth science, and chemistry. And basically, anything that's, not life. It's physical, anything physical science. So, but we touched on that, and then we had a good session on we're gonna come back on, because that's a very interesting thing to me as well. I'm quite certain we coming back on this human, and don't forget when they say hominin, when you're talking about prehistory, and just like we were talking about the stone tool, they made it clear. They was the PhD specifically made it clear that when you talking about the stone tool or just stone tool period, you're not talking about the gorilla, you're not talking about the orangutan, you're not talking about the gibbon, but you are talking about hominin. And when you say hominin, that includes the chimpanzee and bonobo. They would do those things with it, they would do those things. Those are things that they do. And even today, you see chimpanzees and bonobos, they do things that gorillas and orangutans don't do. This even today, they do not do. A chimp is a meat eater. Gorilla is a herbivore. So there's no reason for him to make no stone tools, because he'll go down and snatch branches off, and that's all he do all day. Eat leaves and vegetation. See, that's all he do all day. That's it. That's his way he feed himself. The orangutan ain't no different. He swing around in branches. You see pictures of orangutan. He be in a tree swinging. And what do he eat? You see a gibbon, but you see a chimpanzee and bonobo. Chimps do things you'll swear up and down it's a human. He will kill. He socialized. You have it young when you see a chimp with a bonobo with the children, with the offspring and stuff. Even the gorilla, orangutan, with their young and all that, and with each other, how they interact with each other. But when it comes to using his brain to try to figure out something, to reason, he'll use his brain. But, I know there's a limit on his, but he will use his brain to try to figure out how I'm going to feed myself. You'll pick up a brick. You just seen a chimp do some stuff with a stick to feed itself, to get some insects out. That's what the PhD tell you. See, when it comes to it's hominin. That's who made stone tools. And it's good that we have the earth science and the natural science, because we really begin to comprehend evolution. There was a certain period of time when it was Australopithecine that branched off from the old world monkey. That was one. And then from that one, you started coming all the way down. But it took an evolutionary process. It took millions of years to even get to that one. And then in the Miocene, that's our time. When it get to the Miocene, that's when we as humans began to evolve, branch away from Australopithecus during the Miocene. And it's all about the earth. It's all about the earth. And when the earth was formed billion years ago, including the universe, because the earth is part of the universe. The universe came into existence, and then from the universe you have the earth being formed. 13 point was 4 billion years ago. You know, billion years ago, the earth came into a form, and then from that form we had what? Water, life. The first life is being, last universal common ancestor. Hypothesis, thinking that there's, but we're gonna come back on this, and we're gonna stay on this because there's so much information that you can't, we just gonna be back on. That's the reason why indefinite. We're gonna be on this, and I got all my little note papers and everything to help me, try to, but again, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county sheriff, in the state of Tennessee. Thank my family, my support for your continued courage support. And see, it's gonna come a day when, you know what I'm saying, I'm still working on, because I be having all kind of, I'm still, working on music and entertainment and things of that nature. And it's coming. It's coming. That's how I know I did the right thing. Did the right thing. And don't let people get away with lying. Thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Son of God, for all the blessings and guidance He provides us all with. Continue to pray about wars and continue to pray about natural disasters, and just continue to pray to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Son of God, and take care of yourself, wish each and every one of you very best.